Welcome back to my channel. There were 2 tomatoes in a race. One was in the lead. So he said to the other one, catch up! Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You know when you go to a cafe and you see those luxury stuffed fluffy, delicious donuts? Well, now you can make your very own at home. Today we're making brioche donuts, the king of all donuts. Brioche dough is actually super easy to make, but to make it really lovely and fluffy and delicious, it needs time. So I'm making my dough the day before I need it, so it has overnight to prove in the fridge. So brioche dough is an enriched dough, which means we're using butter and milk and eggs to make it super lovely and rich. So I'm starting with some warm milk that's just above room temperature, and it's going straight into my mixer bowl. And into there, we're gonna add some caster sugar. And then we're using instant dry yeast. I'm just using a sachet because they're nice and easy, but this is 8 grams of yeast. And the yeast is what helps to bring our dough to life and get lovely air bubbles in. So we're just gonna sprinkle this on the top. And then we'll give it a good old whisk. Then we're gonna add a pinch of nutmeg. And a teaspoon of salt. And then 3 eggs that I've left at room temperature because we wanna keep this mixture nice and warm so that yeast gets lovely and fermenty. Then you could just whisk that again until all those eggs are broken up. Then we're gonna add in our plain flour. And then I'm just gonna bring it together with a spatula until all the flour is incorporated. Right, my dough has come together as a nice big lump. Now it's time to add some rum. You can use any rum you like. I've gone for spiced rum, and the rum is actually optional, but the rum prevents the dough from absorbing too much oil when it's frying and gives it a nice, even, crusty crust. And then I've got some lovely softened butter to go in too. Right, now we're gonna let Kenny do all our work for us. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can absolutely do this by hand, but it is a very sticky dough. So just keep working the dough until all that butter is incorporated, and it will eventually get lovely and smooth, but we love Kenny, he's amazing. So I've got my dough hook attachment on, and we're just gonna set this on a nice slow kneading pace for about 10 to 15 minutes until the edge of the bowl is cleaned and it's lovely and smooth and glossy. My dough has been kneading for about 15 minutes, and I can tell it's nearly ready because the dough is starting to clean the edge of the bowl by itself. So it almost starts to pick up all the dough that's sitting around the sides and pull away from the edges. So let's check it out. Oh, it gets so quiet once you turn it off. It is still super glossy and smooth, and if you touch it, it shouldn't stick to your fingers. So if it's still really sticking to your fingers, then it needs a bit more time. So that looks good, and we're just gonna scrape it off the dough hook. Oh yeah, it's so smooth. I love this job. Right, then we're gonna take this bowl off, and you can kind of just push it down. You just wanna make sure it's all kind of in the middle. Right, then we're gonna Glad wrap this bowl, and we wanna make sure it's nice and tight. We don't want any air going in here. Then we're gonna pop this somewhere nice and warm for about 30 minutes until it's risen up nicely, and we're just giving that gluten some time to relax. I may have got a little bit distracted and left this for a bit longer than half an hour, but it has risen up lovely. And we're gonna look at that. Oh my gosh. Now we're gonna punch it down, get all that air out, reshape it back in a nice little ball, and pop it in the fridge to prove overnight. 3, 2, 1. So I just like to pull around the edges, kind of fold it in on itself a bit. Oh yeah, you can see it's been proving really nicely. And I'm just gonna try and pick it up. And we're just gonna tuck the bottom under a little bit. If you're finding it's really sticky, you can grease your hands a little bit first, but it should be okay. Just like that. Look at the beautiful smooth surface on there. Oh, it's gorgeous. Then this is going back into our bowl. We're gonna spray it with a little bit of oil, and this is just gonna stop the top from drying out. Then cover this nice and tightly again with some Glad wrap, making sure you can't get any air inside. And then pop this in the fridge until tomorrow. And here's one I prepared earlier or yesterday. So this dough has been in the fridge overnight. It looks beautiful and it's lovely and cold, which makes it nice and easy to roll out. So let's flip it out onto the surface. Right, we're gonna give this a tiny little dusting of flour on the top, and I will just pop a little bit underneath. And you can see that this is like quite firm, and it's gonna be really, really nice and easy to roll. So we're gonna roll this out to about maybe 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters thick. And the easiest way to do that is start with a cross through the middle, and then you can roll out each of the edges. Oh gosh, it feels beautiful. Just give it a little turn around. It is really nice rolling out cold dough. It's so much easier. Right, this looks perfect. Nice and thick, just what we want. Now I'm gonna give the top a little spray of oil. You could also just brush some oil on, and that's gonna stop my cookie cutter sticking to the dough. And then I've got this nice big circle cutter that I'm gonna use to cut out circles, but you can make any shape of donut you like with this dough. You could make long boys, so big rectangles. You could make little tiny ones. You can make donuts with a hole in the middle. Just go for it. And then once I've cut a little donut, I'm gonna gently press it out, and I pop each of them onto their own little sheet of baking paper, and that just makes them really easy to move around, especially when they're risen. Okay, I've filled my tray. I've got 12 beautiful ones. Now with your offcuts, you can roll it back up again and cut some more out, but they won't be quite as lovely and fluffy as the ones that we did earlier, because they'll be a little bit more dense where you re-kneaded them. The other option is you can cut lots of little ones out of this, or even just fry these offcuts and dust them in icing sugar, and they are absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna pop that aside to do that in a minute. Now these ones, we want to cover this tray back up with Glad wrap. And I'm just going to gently cover this tray with the Glad wrap. I don't want to make it too tight and then stop the donuts from being able to grow, but I want to make sure that they can't dry out. And the good thing is that we grease the top of them so the Glad wrap shouldn't stick. Then I'm going to place this somewhere nice and warm for about an hour until they've risen up beautifully. We're going to heat up some oil and fry them up. I've just got some vegetable oil here heating up. We want to bring our oil to about 170 to 180 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer, you can easily test your oil with some extra donut offcuts. And what you do is you pop your donut offcut in, and if it bubbles up immediately all around it, then you know that your oil is hot enough. So this is super bubbly around the edges, so we are ready to fry. And my lovely donuts are looking beautiful over here. They are lovely and risen. And the reason we put them on these little baking papers is it makes them really easy to pick them up and gently place into our oil. And then you could just use some tongs to just kind of shimmy out the baking paper, and it means you can drop in your donuts without them splashing up everywhere. So let's put a couple in. We're gonna fry them for about 1 to 2 minutes on each side until they're lovely and golden. So then you're just gonna really carefully flip them over. And once they're looking lovely and golden on both sides, you can very carefully take them out. And I've just put some paper towels on this tray, and we're just gonna pop them on there to dab off any excess grease. Oh yeah, they're looking good. Right, next batch. This one looks so good. These look and smell amazing. I cannot wait to bite into the fluffy goodness. Now is a great time to fill them with any filling you like. You could do a custard, a whipped cream, or my ultimate favorite, jam. We just posted jam 3 ways up on our channel, so go and check those recipes out. But I'm gonna keep it plain and simple and just dust them in some caster sugar. So I've just put some caster sugar in our bowl, and we're gonna give them a nice little coating. Oh yeah, they look so good. Oh yeah, let's try this one. I am buzzing to rip this open and look inside. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, it's so fluffy. Oh my gosh, they're unreal. It's so fluffy. It's like literally eating a soft, buttery cloud that's coated in sugar. That could be the best thing ever. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see all the fun things that you fill these with. Go wild. Send me a photo over on Instagram if you do. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. See ya. It's so good. Mmm.